What is up, everybody? This is OLB One Lucky Bullet here with a quick review of Owlboy, which came out on the 10th for PS4, Xbox One. Came out a few months ago for the Switch, and even longer ago for Mac OS and Windows. So we're talking like 2016. Basically, this is a 2D kind of platformer with a little bit of RPG elements in it. You play as an owl boy named Otis, who's kind of a member of an owl human race. You live in a village. It gets attacked by some pirates, and then you kind of set out and you're trying to save the world. Throughout the game, it has very, very excellent storytelling. You generally feel sorry for Otis. He's a mute; he can't speak. So, the allies that you gain throughout the game kind of do the talking for him, and come to his aid, or take up for him. Case in point, earlier in the game, pretty early when you get your first ally, your master, who kind of belittles you constantly anyway. So, you're tasked with stopping this machinery to stop the pirates. And, I don't want to spoil anything, but it doesn't go according to plan. And, of course, you're blamed for everything. And it's really good. You can, for a 2D game with the art style that they went with, you can feel the emotion. I personally think it's probably one of the better 2D games that's came out in a long time. It kind of reminds me of Ori, which is another one of my favorites. The controls are very simple. It's really reminiscent of like Metroid-ish kind of with the way the controls are. There's a couple complaints that I could throw at it. Like, I generally wish that the A button, when you tapped it to jump, sometimes you jump, sometimes you fly, and it's kind of annoying in certain sections with the gnomes, which when you play the game, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Or in like really tricky kind of areas where you're having to move fast and jump and then fly and jump and fly, and if you mash the button too many times or not enough, you may fall, or you'll take off flying when you didn't want to fly. That and some random difficulty spikes is really the only thing bad I could say about this game. And even the difficulty spikes are subject to personal opinion. For me, there's probably areas that I struggled in that you probably won't struggle in. That you're probably going to do great in it, and vice versa. One of the areas that I really, really didn't like was, kind of later in the game, there's this crap loads of cannonballs flying at you left and right, and you're having to escort somebody, and it gets pretty frustrating. But luckily, there is a very generous save system in the game where it just takes you back to where you entered that screen at, and you don't have to redo whole parts all over again. I'm reading some of what the developers have said, and I thought it was more inspired by Metroid, what I said earlier, but apparently they say that they were inspired by Super Mario Bros. 3, the little raccoon suit, with a reverse mechanic, which I don't even understand how that works. I guess because of the flying, but in this game you don't actually have to take off running. You can just tap A to jump and then tap A again, and your wings come out and you're flying. And you're literally flying at the very start of the game. And I think maybe that's why I like the game so much, is because it's not just a traditional 2D platformer where you're jumping and going low, crawling under stuff. This one is more aerial. And so that brings me to my next point. This game has a lot of bullet hell elements, and I don't know if you're familiar with bullet hell. You're thinking of like a quick game that comes to mind is like the 360 game Death Smiles, where it's just bullets everywhere flying at you, and that's how this is with boss battles, and even to a certain extent some enemies. And you know, one of the great things about this is the ability to have multiple partners that you are carrying. And it's not to say that Owlboy is defenseless, because he can do a spin attack and he can dash to get him out of danger, which is fine. But you also have a guy, you know, and I don't want to tell too much, but you know, one of the guys you have has a pistol, but then, you know, other ones have some other weapons and things to make it easier on you. But you have to know when to use them and when not to, because certain ones have a recharge period. Well, if you used it, you know, too soon, you have to wait X amount of seconds while he reloads to be able. Well, that, you know, it can kind of get intense when you're surrounded by, you know, tons of enemies, and you're trying your hardest to, you know, dodge them and evade and roll, and you know, it's got some great stuff. I mean, it's got literally tons and tons of secrets, from the Buccanary coins that you can collect in every area, you know, from your starting area, the first cave, you know, all the way through the end of the game, which rewards you with, you know, power-ups and things to make the game 10 times easier, just depending on how thorough you are in exploring. The game is very generous with health. There's always fruit or something, you know, on the ground in a bush that you can pick up. You eat it, restores your health, and then it even has a really cool over health system where if you eat enough and your health bar is full, you'll actually gain a little bit of a shield-ish kind of effect, to where it makes you move faster and dash faster. So I really like that. You know, to close this out, Owlboy is probably one of my favorite games so far this year. Granted, I could have played it before now, but I was generally waiting for the Xbox and PlayStation version. I love the game. I think it's great. I give it a 9 out of 10. I say it's a solid buy for the price. It's got hours upon hours of entertainment. I don't think you can go wrong with it. If the difficulty spikes don't bother you, like I said, they're subject to opinion. But as long as they don't bother you, you should be fine with this game. You should thoroughly enjoy it, and you should, you know, definitely check it out. Like I said, it's available on Steam, Microsoft Windows, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Mac OS. So give it a try, guys. Thanks a lot. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think.